We'll talk about Scrum, and a couple of words for the start, just about myself. For the last 7 years, I worked in IT industry. I started as a developer and a QA automation engineer. So I was in this role, so I understand how it works. For the last 5 or 6 years, I'm a Scrum Master and Agile Coach with different companies. You can see them over here. I'm working as a contractor, sometimes as inside companies as a full day Scrum Master for a couple of teams. Worked with different business domain, not only IT industry, because Agile and Scrum is useful not only for developing digital products, but also for different services. For example, we worked with McDonald's Ukraine. We developed new services, new burgers sometimes. Yeah, it was a pretty nice experience. Worked with MHP, Agriculture Industrial Holding. That's Ukrainian one. Maybe some guys from other countries don't know, but that's one of the biggest in Ukraine. Banks, Starlight Media Production, the guys who are making TV shows for STB, Novy Channel, and others. For 4 years, I worked in Croatia company. It's Terrasoft, maybe you heard of it. Russia, Ukraine, it's farm company, and many IT. As you can see, I got many certificates, but I just want to show you to say that I like to learn. I really like to, and I like to share this experience and some knowledge with other people. I got PhD in psychology, and I'm a psychotherapist in TA Med, because that basically was my first education before I went to IT. And that was almost 7 years ago. You remember the stream was get into IT. Now the stream is how to get out from IT. Some people are struggling with. So today we're talking about Scrum. I will later share my next screen. Can you tell me, please put in chat, how many years of experience do you have with Scrum, if you have it? Or if you worked in Scrum in such kind of processes? You can just type 1, 2, 0 if you didn't work in Scrum and don't know what it is. And I will open the chat so I can see it. 8, 3, 15. Nice. 5, 7. Okay. Nice. So at the beginning, what we need to know about Scrum is that, first of all, it was created in 1993 as a framework. It worked before 1993. But what I want to show you with this page, this is scrumguys.org. Basically, that's a Bible of Scrum and the way it should work. I just want to show you that it was changed. It has been changed for 5 times since 2010. And that means that thousands of Scrum teams that was working before us or during your career, they had experience and they improved this Scrum guide during times. So that is 1 change, 2nd, 3. That's like a change log for the product or for some kind of framework. So it has a lot of changes, and the last one was in 2020. And that kind of Scrum that I'm going to tell you today. So basically, the whole Scrum is really small because that's a framework. That's just something that you can fill with other practices, with other cool stuff, and etc. So the Scrum is, as you can see, it's only, if to put it on A4, it's 13 pages. So it's really small. Okay, now I'll show you another screen. And we'll take a look how it should work. Okay, do you see a blank page? Yeah, the white one.
You can see.
Okay, great. So let's start our journey. Basically, let's put some words here for the beginning. First of all of us, we work in organization, some kind of. we work in organization, and this organization, I guess, it should have some goals, like why do it exist? What do you want to achieve? So basically, each organization has its product goals. Product goals. And now let's make a step back, and I will show you one picture. I will just tell you one story. Maybe you already heard it or seen it in real life in your projects or product development. It's a simple story. So basically, we got this guy with a crown on his head because he got a lot of money. And in early 90s and 80s, it was pretty popular that this guy with a lot of money, he came with some kind of idea, like we want to develop something. He got an idea and he had a lot of money. So that's his idea. I want to develop some product and it should be really, really great. What is he doing next? He is going to some kind of company, maybe outsource, maybe outstaff, doesn't matter. He says, guys, I want to develop something. They say, okay, no problem. Let's talk to our guys. There they are. And basically, that's our business analysts. So they are talking to this guy with money, and they're gathering everything that we need to have and understand the whole process, the whole product, what we need to achieve. And that takes some time. So it might be months, it might be 2 months, it might be 5 months while we will create this with the spreadsheets, a lot of text and etc. And only after we gathered everything, we are going to the next guys. How do you think who it is? People with happy faces and nice heads.
Accountants.
Almost. That would be our developers. It's our devs. And they say, okay, we saw what you read, what you have wrote, BAs, we can do it, no problems. They take their time, they're starting the process, creating a board in Jira or etc. And they're starting to develop it. And after the development, who is joining this team? Also happy guy at the beginning before he understands where is he. That's our QA engineer. And QA, as they should, they are finding a lot of bugs and misunderstandings because they already read what BAs have wrote before and they saw the product that was made. They create a loop and give back all the tasks and bugs that they found. And the developers make a second round or the third one or the fifth one, it doesn't matter. And only after everything was done, our great man, there he is, he's coming here to the end and like, guys, I'm ready. I'm happy, show me the product. I still have some money, not so many, because you cost me a lot. So I want to see something that you developed. I want to see this pretty box. And to understand this whole process, it took, for example, I don't know, in practice, it was in 90s, 2 years, 3 years, the whole process. How do you think? What will he tell this team when he will see the final product? Any ideas?
It is not. It is not. I'm requested.
It is not a requested.
It's not my idea.
Yeah. So basically, while this 2-3 years has passed, and we developed something, it's not that I asked because we didn't have any communication with him. So basically, he just told everything to BAs to devs. Devs with QAs made some kind of product, and there he is, this product after 2 and 3 years, and he is coming to this team and telling, guys, did you work by the waterfall model? What is this? Like, that's not what I requested. And basically, this picture is a picture of the way people worked before the Agile, Scrum, Kanban, and everything else was discovered. And it was discovered because they spent millions of dollars as a waste, and they didn't get nothing. And their clients didn't get nothing almost because we don't have a normal feedback loop, and that's the problem. So the answer why Scrum was created in that state as it is right now, basically this picture, because we spent a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort and energy, and in the result, we had waterfall, as this guy said. So let's take a look at how Scrum looks like. In Scrum, we have a couple roles. So basically, let's start with this guy with such head. And he is called a PO, a product owner. That is the role and his main responsibility to communicate with somebody to understand what are we building. How do you think? Who is he communicating with? How to understand what should we build? Who do we need on this picture? I will start maybe with clients, future clients, yeah. Who else should be on this picture? Who is he communicating with to understand what should we build? Any ideas?
Developers.
Developers. Okay, we'll have them later.
Stakeholders.
Right, okay. I understand that it's difficult after the whole working day when somebody asks you questions. But you're doing great, guys. Stakeholders, yeah. Anybody else? Who do we need?
Probably BAs.
Maybe BAs, maybe. Other companies that have a similar product, do we need to take a look at them? Other companies. Okay, so basically his work is to understand what should we build to get the best result. And that's why he have a lot of communication with clients, stakeholders, with other companies. Okay, I'll just remove a little bit here. And he is communicating with all the organization that he is working with. So that's all the C-level, T-1, and etc. So he's communicating with all the organization to understand what are we building and why are we building. And his main job is to answer the question, what are we building and why? That is his accountability, I would say. And everything that he's collecting, he's gathering in one list that is called a product backlog. That is everything, every story, every wish, the features, etc. He collects everything in his product backlog. It can be smaller, it can be bigger, it can be other size, it can be different colors, for example. So that's something that we want to build in the future in our product, and that's his accountability to understand what do we need to have in the future. That is the PO. That's the first role. Now we're getting to these guys. In the previous Scrum guides, this guys was called development team, but right now they're called just developers. And that's not about that inside this group, there are only people who is writing code. Here can be devs, QAs, BA, who else can be here? Help me. So basically everybody who is responsible for building a good product that we need. So we need all the roles over here. That's a group of super ninjas that can do anything just in one team, in one Scrum team. So devs, QAs, BAs, designers sometimes. It's really cool when we have a designer inside the developers. It's really great. And they have their own backlog. How do you think how it's called? Or maybe you know.
Documentation.
Sprint
Almost. Right. Yeah. It's a sprint backlog. Now a tricky question. We need somehow to get these tasks from product backlog to sprint backlog. And there are only two ways to do it. The first one is to pull these tasks from this backlog. The second one is when the product owner or somebody else push tasks to the sprint backlog. How do you think? What is the right way to do it? Push or pull? You can turn on the mics if you want.
That's where we want possible. It depends on requirements, prioritization.
Depends on requirements, okay. Maybe, but still, every developer knows the requirements because they are talking to product owner. So the difference between pull and push is pretty simple. The first one is pull. Is when the product owner is coming to the developers and say, hey guys, we have such priorities. How do you think? What can we do in the next sprint, depending on our goals that we have? And they say, we can do this one, and this one, for example. And developers just take these tasks from the product backlog. That is a pull system. The pull system is good working in Kanban and in Scrum as well. And the push system is when the product owner is coming and telling, guys, we have a sprint. You are doing this part of work. Here you go. Go, have fun. That's a push one. So when we're talking about the pure Scrum, we say that we have a pull system and we don't use a push. And after we have some tasks inside our sprint backlog, we need to go and make some feedback loop.
I'm sorry, Sergey.
That is called. Yeah,
what is the difference between pull and push practically?
That was what I explained just a couple minutes ago.
But if the team has a certain capacity, it doesn't matter if it's a push or a pull because team cannot exceed the capacity.
That's a tricky question. Capacity system of the team is a tricky one. It depends how you measure the capacity of your team. You can use somebody uses story points, name of the sheets like S, M, X, Excel. Somebody use some kind of parrots. It doesn't matter. So basically, you know some kind of your capacity, but it really depends. So you always need to ask the developers how much tasks are they predict they forecast to do in next sprint, because it depends on holidays, sick, vacation, the difficulty of this functionality. Do we have experience of developing such kind of functionality of such kind of task or not? Do we have somebody who worked earlier with Angular 8, for example, or not? So there are many, many questions, and these questions should be addressed to developers, because these guys, if product owner is answering the question what and why, developers answering the question how. they know, they are professionals, they know how to do it. And we need to ask them. So basically that is the difference. They need to pull tasks from the product backlog.
But if capacity is final, and if we assume that the product backlog is properly ordered and estimated, what is the difference then?
Well, the difference that you give more motivation to developers when they are taking tasks from the backlog, and it's their decision that they take such kind of capacity that they have for the tasks.
So they can, excuse me, they can select. Yes. So it's not like
no,
there is an
they're
ordered.
Not selecting.
The list is ordered in the priority of the tasks. So the team cannot select to pick the last one on the backlog because the last one should be least prioritized.
Right. That's a good question. That's a good one. They're not selecting from the bottom of backlog, of course, because that is less priority, but they can tell you some details that the product owner doesn't know because he is not a developer. He don't have such kind of skills. For example, this task over here is the most priority thing in our backlog, and we want to take it to the sprint backlog. And later, in a couple of minutes, when we will talk about the refinement, when we are discovering what is inside these tasks, developers can give you a feedback.
Like it's going to be really complicated to develop?
Maybe it's too complicated. Let's decompose it. Maybe that's a good one, but we can take the small piece of this task, and that would give the most value for the client. And the rest of the task we don't need to do right now. Maybe, for example, we are doing the MVP, just a basic version of our product. So this communication with developers is really useful. The main difference of pull and push: pull is when you communicate with developers and listen to them and make a decision together. What are you going to take and do in the next sprint? And the push is when you say that, hey guys, I'm a product owner, I know what to do, I'm pushing this task to you, go ahead, go do. So that's the basic difference.
So if could it be in Scrum that somebody is pushy instead of pulling?
Oh, it's such people use Scrum in such different ways, and I can tell you, I mean, sometimes people pushing,
but
it happens.
So you think that if somebody, for example, if we have a PO who is pushing stuff on the team instead of letting the team pull the stuff, should the team, or rather, before we have a discussion, so for example, if we have a product backlog and here comes, I don't know, Wednesday when we have our sprint planning, or Monday or Friday, different teams do it differently. In any case, we have our sprint planning, sprint kickoff. We go through the product backlog together with the product owner, and we decide what's going to be put in our team. It is a it's not a process that like team or team manager, team lead is just taking stuff in the backlog.
No, it's a responsibility. It's the responsibility of all the developers, of all the Scrum team.
But it's not the reflecting. So how do, I guess the question is, how do we reconcile the needs of our users, which are represented by the product owner, with the desires of the team? Like, for example, if we see that the item number 1 here is something that our team rather would not deal with because it's like messy, maybe it requires a lot of refactoring or go into some legacy system. So they're constantly on the each iteration's basis, they just skip it because they just don't want to deal with it. How can product owner force, or encourage them to do this?
Okay, I understand the question. So basically, I'll answer the question and then we'll get back to Scrum, okay? And then maybe in the end we'll have another questions. So basically, if we have in this side over here, we have such kind of messy task that we need to achieve, and it's difficult. We need to invest some time with the team, with the product owner, to make it more understandable, more simple, or maybe even give it to another team that have more experience. So if it's important, but it's difficult, we need to work with this. We don't need to put it down in the backlog because it's difficult. That's not how it works. If it's important, we need to deal with this. The other question, how to do it, but that's the topic like for maybe half an hour or an hour, but it's not a topic for this session. Short question, yes, we need to handle it. The second one, how are you doing it in your practice? Thank you for the questions.
Thank you.
Let's get back to our Scrum. So basically, what we know right now, we got a product owner, we got developers over here. And what are we starting with? So here in the side of this circle of this loop, we got a sprint. That's the artifact inside the Scrum. What is called sprint, it basically a time from 1 to 4 weeks. The most popular sprints that I see inside the development teams, inside the different companies is 2 weeks. That's the average. And we always start with one meeting that is called planning. Over here. So basically planning is our meeting when we are taking tasks from product backlog to our sprint backlog. And we say, okay, that's a good one, but that's not just simple tasks. They have one difference. They need to have, our sprint should have a goal, like what do we want to achieve in the end of the sprint. That's it. Then after we understand our goal, everybody's understanding it in the same way. We say, okay, this kind of task will totally fulfill our goal and we can achieve it in 2 weeks, for example. That's our forecast. And then after planning, the other day and the next one, we have meetings that are called daily Scrum. Daily Scrum is basically, it's a maximum 15 minutes small meetings, and their goal is really simple. Their goal is to understand for the developers, first of all, how are we achieving our sprint goal? Because that is the most important inside the sprint, this one. The goal of the sprint, what are we achieving? And we, on the daily Scrum, we are talking about the progress to achieving the sprint goal. In the previous Scrum guides and the previous versions, we had 3 questions. What have I done yesterday? What I'm going to do today? Do I have any blockers and etc.? Right now, we don't have these 3 questions, but you can use any approach as you want. If you are talking about the sprint goal or some kind of blockers that not letting you go to this goal and etc. So basically, this team is for developers. Sometimes PO also can go to these meetings if developers have some product questions, like, can you please tell me again, what should we have done in this one, because I don't understand, and that's totally okay. So we have these daily Scrums until we are reaching the middle of the 2-week sprint, where we have a meeting that is called refinement, product backlog refinement. I write PB, like product backlog refinement. So this meeting is have one interesting purpose. We need to go to our product backlog and to take a look what have changed from the last session that we looked at this product backlog. Maybe we have some new tasks, some new priorities. So we are looking over here once again and trying to understand what are we going to do in the close future, for example, in the next sprint. What will be the sprint goal for the next sprint? What goals do we need to achieve? What tasks do we need to refine? In practice, it means that we need to discover what's inside these tasks. In practice, it looks like that we have two parts of this meeting. The first part is basically only product. We don't discuss technical questions here. So basically the product owner is coming and telling what change has been in the product backlog and what are we going to do next from the point of view of the product. And then we have a small break, and then we're making a technical refinement that is different technical. And that is a meeting basically for developers that understand what we're going to build next, and we need to understand how to build it. How? That is the tasks. So that's the backlog refinement that is sitting over here in the middle of the sprint. The main goal is to understand what's going to be next and how to achieve it. After we have another daily, and to the end of the sprint, we are coming with our sprint review. Sometimes people call it demo. I will write it like demo over here. Sprint review or sprint demo is a meeting when we show everything that we have done during the sprint. And how do you think who should attend this meeting besides the developers and product owner, of course? Like, who's this meeting for? Who we need to have here? You can write in the chat or just turn on the mics.
Customers, consumers.
Oh, nice one. Yeah, correct. So it's for customers, consumers. Who else?
QAs,
it might be
maybe.
our QAs is a part of developers. So basically they're here. And other teams can come from this company if they're interested in this part of product. They also can come. We have here our stakeholders, clients. So basically everybody who is involved in this product or is going to use this product in the future can attend this meeting. Why? Because they need to take a look at what has been done and provide a feedback. Not only a classical feedback like, hey guys, you made a great job. Let's do more work in another sprint. Not such kind of feedback, but it also sometimes helps. But feedback that can potentially change the product backlog, might change. For example, somebody from clients can come to this sprint review or sprint demo and say, hey guys, you know, I think this button should be, I don't know, 10 pixel left and pixel right, and maybe another color because it's not a color of our company. Let's make this change. Or we need another column or something else, depending on what are you developing. And the product owner should listen to this change. It doesn't mean that he's supposed to put all the tasks and wishes to the product backlog, but still he needs to discover if it's really important for us and for our product to do this. So basically the goal of sprint review is to understand if it's really important for us to the future and make some change in the product backlog. And the last event inside our sprint is retrospective. That's the final one. This event is only for the Scrum team, and the Scrum team is our product owner, developers, and over here we will draw this guy with messy here because he is a little bit crazy about everything what's happening inside here. This is a Scrum Master. We'll get to him. So basically, retrospective is about how do we work? Did we achieve the goals that we wanted to achieve in the previous sprint? And we discover our processes, our communication, the way we work, and etc. Everything that need to be discussed, sometimes even technical questions, we can address to the retrospective. And its goal to discover the way we work and to make some improvements for the future. Any questions about the meetings inside this sprint?
I do have one question about the refinement meetings. As I understand, you distinguish two types of meetings. It's like and please correct me, it's a kind of product refinements and tech refinements. And other knowledge based on my actually experience, we never distinguish it. And what's the reason? Why do we need to do?
Okay, so that was okay. This part is that I see how it works in real life, and it works really good. It's not inside the Scrum. That's a good question. It's not inside the Scrum. Inside the Scrum, we have only refinement. Like we need to discover what to do next and how the product backlog has changed. That's just an example from the practical perspective, how you can do this refinement. You can split it into two halves, into two separate meetings, when the first one is only about product, to focus on the product. And the second one is technical, to understand how to implement these wishes, these tasks, these user stories in the next sprint. So basically, that's it.
Okay,
then did I answer your question?
The next question, yeah, it's probably yes. But the next question, who should participate? There's two types of refinement, for example, especially product refinement. Who should participate? Okay. Full team, the same team? And do product need to participate technical refinement as well?
It depends. It depends, but in theory, in the product part, we have our product owner, PO, devs, sometimes Scrum Master if it's needed for some kind of facilitation, but basically the main guy over here is product owner. And on the second technical refinement, we need only developers. Sometimes depends on the structure of your company. You can have, I don't know, technical directors or tech leads or somebody else or principal engineers. And if you need their expertise for these meetings, if you understand that you need them, you also can invite. But the main guys on the technical, of course, it's devs, and that's it. So if we don't need a PO on this meeting, it's okay.
Okay, and last question about refinement, and please correct me if I'm understand it's incorrect, right? For the product refinement, the main goal is to be concentrated for the next sprint. And during this product refinement, product owner actually exposed for us a bunch of stories, tasks, whatever you want, for the next sprint.
In real life, it happened like that. Yeah, we're looking at the next sprint regarding to what do we want to achieve from the product perspective, not from the technical, not how it how it should be developed, but how it should be how it should look from the client perspective. What do we want to achieve? What do we want to get? So basically, yes, it's only about the product part, nothing technical. Of course, guys from the developers, they can ask some questions or make some bookmarks. So, hey, we need to discuss this one, or they're asking some questions to the product owner and telling him like, this one is possible, but it will be really expensive. But we can talk about it later on the technical refinement. So that is always the communication. But the main thought is, yes, first one is only a product part, only about what do we want to achieve. And the second one is how do we want to achieve it. And this is for developers.
Okay, thank you.
Something like that. Yeah, thanks for the question. Okay, so the last guy over here is Scrum Master. How do you think? What is this role for Scrum Master? Because basically the most questions about this role, because many people don't understand what is he going to do, why do we need him, and etc. How do you think what Scrum Master should do? You can write down to chat and maybe turn on the mics and also tell something.
I think to make the wheels rolling between all these objects on the screen, so everyone passes the information to everyone.
Okay. Anything else?
He managing poker planning.
Managing poker planner. Poker planner manager. That's something new. I'll remember this one. Okay. Somebody says that sometimes he brings coffee and helps to gather people to the meeting. Once again?
Maybe project builder.
Project builder. What does it mean?
I don't know. Maybe who creation project.
In Jira. No, Jira Master. Okay.
Scrum Master is a guy who is making sure that what you have just described is happening regularly and in a defined way, so that everyone is aware of what's happening and the communication is done properly. So he ensures that this is all happening. Therefore, he's a master.
What I've heard from you. So he tried to create a transparency inside the company and inside the team.
What he does in the result, creating transparency, because the process is transparent and he makes sure that the process is happening. I have one question. You mentioned many steps, but who makes sure that the planning is being done over the backlog, which is relevant, I mean, not absurd, and when the grooming is happening? And if it's ever.
Okay, so the second question, grooming is old interpretation of refinement. So basically it's the same. It just had a different name. In new versions, it's refinement. Grooming is the same as refine. And the first one, can you repeat, please?
The first one, where in this process is ensuring that the planning is happening over the backlog, which is not absurd. So the items in this backlog are well described and understood by others.
Okay, so we got two meetings for this. The first one and most important is refinement, where we
so refinement is happening before planning.
Yes. Refinements happening
and
before planning, of course.
You said that this process all starting with planning.
I mean that when we have a brand new team, we start also always with refinement. I mean that process of developing, like the whole circle starts from planning. Like we plan what to do, but before this planning, there of course was some kind of refinement. But that's a nice one, yeah. I mean the sprint starts from planning. But before this planning, we had a refinement to understand what are we going to do next. So that's the point. That's a good one, yeah. Okay, we have 10 minutes left, and the last one that I wanted to tell you. Let's finish with the Scrum Master. So Scrum Master is working on different levels. The first level is the organizational level, when he understands the requests from the organization, what do they want, and if we achieve by developing this product that we're achieving what we want. The second one is going to the product owner, is a close communication with the product owner. If he needs some help with something, maybe he helps his product owner. And basically, in practice, he is coaching the Scrum team about Scrum. He is teaching Scrum, and he brings the best practices that we have in market to make our work more fun, more easy, more or less stressful, and to give our customers the best value that we can give. So that is his role. He is such kind of mediator between different levels of organization and inside the Scrum team. So basically, that is the whole Scrum. It's really small and simple. We have 3 roles. We have Scrum Master, Product Owner, and developers. We have a couple events. We have planning, daily Scrum, refinement, sprint review, and retrospective. And we have some documents. The first one is product backlog, where we put everything we want to develop inside our product. The second one is sprint backlog, when we're pulling something for our sprint. And the last artifact is our sprint. And the main artifact, what we get is in the end of our sprint, we're getting some kind of version of this product. And that's it, basically. As the Scrum Guide says, Scrum is easy to understand, but difficult to manage. Because managed Scrum is always about the way people understand, the way people work before, what experience do they have with Scrum, and their status quo. You know, that's a story from one of the new Scrum Master come to the team that is working for the last 3 years, for example, together, and he's trying to implement something new, or trying to tell them that, hey guys, it doesn't work like it should work, and they're telling him, listen, you're the new one in this team, you don't understand nothing. We used to do this. So basically, he had a lot of work. But this Scrum is built on the fundament, and that is 3 things. First one is transparency. And Scrum doesn't work without transparency. The second one is inspection. Inspect. And the third one is adaptation. Adapt. Without these 3 things, the Scrum doesn't work. How it look like in real life? Let's take inspect and adapt process. For example, on the sprint planning session over here, what do we inspect and what do we adapt? I will give an example on sprint planning. On sprint planning, we inspect our sprint backlog. We need to understand if it's correct, if it's okay, and we adapt our plans for the future sprint. So we inspect backlog and adapt plans for future sprint. How do you think, what do we inspect and adapt on daily Scrum 15 minutes meeting? What is the inspection and adoption process look like here?
What has been done before and what are we going to do next?
Yeah, kind of. How do we go to the sprint goal? We inspecting this one. What is our road trip to the sprint goal? And we adapt plan for the day. Correct. Okay. Backlog refinement. This one. We inspect our product backlog. This one over here. And we adapt our plans for the future. When we're talking about the sprint review, what do we inspect? We inspect what we have done inside the sprint. So basically, what is our increment? Did we achieve the goals that we wanted? And we're inspecting this version of the product that we put in production. This is what we are inspecting. And we adapt the product backlog. See over here, there's a feedback under the sprint review, and we adapt our product backlog depends on what feedback we get on this meeting. And the last one, retrospective, that's the easy one. Go ahead. What do we inspect and adapt? How do you think?
How the sprint was? What were the problems?
What was the problems? Okay.
What were the issues probably between team members?
Okay.
What impediments have we faced during the sprints?
Okay. So basically, it's the way we work. How do we work, and how can we improve our future work? So that is what we adapt for the future. I guess for the Scrum basics, that's the most easy and simple picture that you can find also in Google or etc. And if you have any questions for this moment, go ahead. We have like a couple minutes for the end of the stream. Or you can give some feedback of what you heard today. I will put this picture to the slide deck, and Anastasia will send you as well. So, any questions?
Yeah, can I start the Q&A session? I heard several methodologies of Scrum, particularly Agile. Maybe they can you make an overview of different methodologies and give a brief explanation of what they are and what are the different, which are they?
That's a nice question. And that's a really big question, but the short answer will be the next. So Agile is an umbrella, and Agile is not a methodology. It's more kind of philosophy, because Agile consists of 4 values and 12 principles. I will show you just a second. Let me share my screen. Okay, so this is Agile Manifesto for software developer. And basically we have here only 4 values.
Sorry, do you demonstrate something on the screen? We don't see it.
I'm not sharing, yeah, sorry. And now, yeah, do you see it?
Yes.
Now we see it, now yes.
Yeah, so basically Agile is more about philosophy, and there it is, the 4 values. It's individuals and interactions or processes and tools, and the 3 other ones. Too bad we don't have time, because that's a long story. I can tell you a lot about this. And not many people go to this link 12 principles. So this one is about how we work, how we think during our work, what is more important for us. And 12 principles is about the practice of how we work. So those one was a philosophy, this one is a practical side. So I really recommend you to take a look at this. And the short answer to your question, what is Agile and etc. So Agile is umbrella of understanding the way we work, our philosophy. And under this umbrella, we have Scrum Framework, we got large-scale Scrum, we got SAFe, we got Kanban, we got XP practices, extreme programming, and other stuff. So it's all in one line, but like the father and mother of all these frameworks and methodologies is Agile as a philosophy. I hope I make small injection of theory about Agile, but it's a big one. We need another hour to discuss it. But a good question.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you for that. Okay. Any others? Guess not. Okay.
No, one more. Sergey, is
go
Scrum applicable only to software development?
No.
Like, is it any successful applications to something other that you may know about?
Yeah, good question. So the Scrum is applicable not only for the software development, it's applicable also for the developing of different services and products outside the IT industry. For example, we made, it's not a pure Scrum, but it's some kind of practices from Scrum that you can use. For example, when we worked with McDonald's Ukraine, we had a couple teams. Like the first team was that developed the new products for the restaurants, and we use their almost all the framework. We had their planning session, refinement sessions. We had sprint reviews and demos for the main stakeholders, the owners of the company. And that was the main goal, was to create a more fast feedback loop to understand if we are doing the right things in the right way. So you can use these Scrum practices, not all if you don't need it in other contexts, but you can use it to create more small feedback loops and more close communication between people inside that are developing this product. So basically you're creating a team that consists of all the professionals that you need to develop something. And it doesn't matter what do you develop. It's an IT product, it's software, it's a burger from McDonald's, or it's a TV show from television, it doesn't matter. There are some principles and practices that you can use.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, thank you for your time. I hope it was useful for you. Then have a good evening and see you.
Thank you.